Ahoy, and welcome to the Hague Tech Community and Beards Update. I'm here with my co-host Thomas, who has the largest beard, and I'm here with our newest beard, Marky, who has joined the community, and we just wanted to get you in here to kind of ask, first off, what are you doing? And then how did you end up here, and what are your impressions of the Hague Tech so far?
And then talk about beards.
Yes.
Cool.
We finish up with beards.
Yeah, that's what people came here for, so we're going to make sure they have to listen to what you actually do first to then get the beards.
We don't want to disappoint. What brought me here? I was always looking to start my own company, and after recently being laid off or not getting my contract extended at a startup I also helped set up, I thought it would be a good start to start again, and this time on my own. I walked in for a blockchain meetup and met a really cool community, and I thought, hey, I need to stay here. I saw a lot of people as well that I met or that I've known from way back when I used to work here in The Hague, setting up makerspaces and so on. So somehow serendipity kind of caught back up on me here, and I felt embraced almost immediately. So now I'm here helping out and starting up.
So I know you have a bunch of different initiatives, but you just said makerspace.
Yeah, that's here to help within the community. So part of, I think, the Hague Tech, they're setting up a makerspace focused specifically on tech or technology. So no circular saws or table saws or metal works, just 3D printers, laser cutters, and then Arduino, proper nerd stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that works out.
So it's a physical space here within the Hague Tech for makers to make things with 3D printers and so forth?
Yeah, it's to wrap prototype ideas. So sometimes if you're trying to come up with a IoT device or something like that before you send it off to China to be manufactured in scale, you might want to tinker around building your own little thing, and this space would be able to facilitate that. Given that there's probably not a huge market for just making stuff in this kind of hobbyist prototyping fashion, I'm trying to explore other options of utilizing the space, so potentially working with the Peace Innovation Lab to run workshops through the space and kind of have a bit of a modular design in there, so it can be used for multiple things outside of just making, but kind of an inspiration maker space.
When did you start with making yourself?
Actually, during my bachelor's, I wanted to study open source communities for my thesis, and I was really interested in decentralized creation, traditionally driven by the software company or industry at the time. And then just at that time was also when 3D printing emerged, and then I came across the RepRap project, which was a 3D printer that was open source and could print many of its own parts. And I thought that was just too awesome. So I figured I'll try and convince the school to give me money to build my own, which which worked. And ever since then, I kind of got into that space. Keep in mind, I wasn't in a technical environment, so I was the black sheep in the herd, where everybody else was studying international politics. I was building 3D printers, exploring, open source development models and economics, because it's kind of counterintuitive to have a machine that can reproduce itself.
Where did you study? Which?
Leiden University College here in The Hague. I was the first cohort, so I think I could also get away with a lot more when it was a very new university. I really, really enjoyed it, very multidisciplinary.
But you ended up with 3D printing.
Yeah, focused on international development. So
3D printing focused on international development. Elaborate on that.
How does that work?
I was trying to explore how the economics work. How many machines can you sell that can reproduce themselves? What incentivizes that kind of, innovation?
What are the answers to those questions?
Well, I ended up with more questions than answers, which in research I think can happen and you can get away with.
Accidentally happens.
Especially on a bachelor level.
I'm sure there was a lot of theoretical writings around how those questions happened, and then you had work, but it didn't answer many.
No, but everybody was focused on the 3D printer that actually produced little whistles and bottle openers, so nobody really paid too much attention to the words I've written down on paper.
And I know that you came here to work on your startup.
Yeah.
Is that with Makerspace with 3D printing, or is that something separate?
That's something separate.
What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Good
I'm
question. Thanks.
trying to set up a software company called Phoebe, stands for front end, back end. With my cousin, I'm partnering up with him. He's based in Cape Town, South Africa, and we want to handle the back end development down there, develop the tech industry and innovation down in South
And why
Africa.
handling the backend there? Besides that, your cousin is over there.
Well,
Is it cheaper, better quality, talent?
Well, on the one hand, cheaper, and on the other hand, we don't know necessarily if it's cheaper. We assume it's cheaper, but we want to help spur the innovation process up there, and even if it's just marginally cheaper than a development here, that can go a long way.
But you're originally also from South Africa,
Yeah,
right?
but from Johannesburg.
Johannesburg,
And this was, I thought as well, some kind of a opportunity for me to kind of reconnect back to my homeland.
Yeah.
To kind of build a bridge there. And my ideal goal is to live, 6 months in Holland and 6 months in South Africa.
Which sounds like an excellent combination.
Yeah, and I know that Hague Tech does a lot of co-working with organizations in South Africa.
Yeah.
Actually,
between the Hague,
you've
so-
recently been in Cape Town to sign a partnership with a sort like community, city.
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
so that was also another serendipitous thing that emerged when I started speaking to Peter.
You should
I was
make a
like-
new item which is called the Hague Tech Serendipity.
Serendipity
yeah,
just
machine.
focusing
you really
on all
like
the-
that word.
yeah.
You just like the
I
fact
love
that you can pronounce
serendipity.
that word.
Yeah, it is
The seren-
flawless. Serendipity. There you go.
Okay, can I get a definition?
No. This is not a spelling contest.
It wasn't a
But
spelling.
back
it
to
was a
you,
definition.
Mark.
So, yeah.
And is there already, so you're setting up business with your cousin in Cape Town, you have a business case, the business is the front and back end software.
Yeah, front end I'm going to handle here. That includes branding, UI, UX design, and to some extent I want to reach out or back. I used to be a data scientist in the last startup, so maybe
Your
touch upon
previous life.
my previous life.
You look pretty young to me, so
No, well,
I think it's because the beard hasn't gone white yet.
no, it's worked. I'm working on it. I also need to get to that next level. But so I think also in the future more and more web apps and web technologies will require analytics embedded into them. So this is why I don't want to shun away from the data science element and kind of integrate that into the front end. Front end because it's consumer facing. You want to speak to your clients directly when you're talking with their data.
and in the company, is it based in the Netherlands? So is
so
the BV and
well, that's all in the process. I got a quote for €4,500 to set all that up. I need that first.
so you need funding.
Yeah, I'm in the process now of speaking to investors.
Or a cheaper lawyer.
Or what?
A cheaper lawyer.
Yeah, or a cheaper lawyer. That's true too. Yeah. How to structure all of that, how to fund. Those are things that I haven't been experiencing in the previous startup. I was kind of just working on the development. Now I'm getting to feel all of those pains and highs and lows.
That's something as a podcast we should definitely focus on, because I know it's a problem that a lot of people had. It's a problem I had and I went through. So there's a lot of information that we can help. And just to wrap it up, if you could give an indication of what's one goal that you really want to do this year.
So within Phoebe, we want to obviously reach out to clients, but I want to structure it in such a way to develop projects internally, in-house. The clients are kind of a way to fund the internal projects, and potentially the internal projects could ripple out as, technologies and tools for external clients. And so with that in mind, I've got one project that we're kind of spearheading already and using that as a bit of a, not a honeypot, but like incentive for to attract investors. And that one is, I don't know exactly how to structure it, and I'm not going to say all too much about it, but the idea is to utilize blockchain and gamification to help raise funds for wildlife conservation. So that builds back to also the South African connection. And something I'm quite, fond of animals, and I realized that there's an order of magnitude in funding required still to meet the conservation goals in
This
2020.
is a combination that is new to me. So wildlife and blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at me like you talk about this every day.
Yeah, sadly
but
I
for
do.
me, this is new, wildlife and blockchain. But it is really interesting.
Yeah. It's using blockchain for social good.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of impact societies around the Hague Tech, and different initiatives that are focused for blockchain for good, because it's a system in which we can actually help organizations such as wildlife conservations and wildlife game parks that have had trouble funding themselves, that have had trouble getting the correct resources, but that there's so many people who love animals, who love conservation, who love preserving nature, who'd want to take part in such initiatives, but blockchain is finally allowing us to do that in a direct way, that we're not going through multiple layers of intermediaries to you as a donatee or someone who wants to help out the conservation to directly do that.
Yeah.
So what is disruptive about this model? That you
Well,
break the chain of different structures between the people who wants to donate and the actual delivery of money in an organization.
My ultimate goal is to try and make the very process profitable for the donatee. But that's as much as I'm gonna say. So I wanna.
We have our first cliffhanger here in the show.
Yeah. So
Stay tuned, people.
I guess we'll have a new series, cliffhanger endings.
You need to make
With beards.
You need I got this lesson from the Peace Innovation Lab that's trying to make peace technologies through making it profitable. So if you can make peace more profitable than war or conflict, you've got a marketable use case. And so I was inspired by them, and I think with blockchain technologies where you can create tools and technologies that at very low marginal costs, you can scale and you can create value where you used to not be able to create value. And that can be leveraged, and yeah.
Well,
We'll talk about more of it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to having you back on so we can talk more about it.
If you have some first results in the near future, please do share them with us.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. I'd like to, of course, thank Thomas as always.
Well, I want to thank you too, Charles.
Yeah, no, and I'd also like to remind you that we are also a podcast. So for everyone that's listening on a podcast, Thomas has the weakest beard by far. And I'm very happy to be able to have you here. And I'd like to, of course, as always, thank the New Media Studio with Martijn and Jair for providing such great support and help and allowing us to do this. And of course, the Hague Tech for allowing us to have the platform, to have the environment, and to have the physical space to bring this to you today. And of course, as always, please subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And we're looking forward to hearing any comments that you have on different things that Mark is doing or different initiatives for Blockchain for Good.
Or on beards.
Yeah, or on beards. We
Beard
always
talks.
love conditioning tips. We've been having long discussions about best conditioning. So please tell us your conditioning tips. And we look forward to hearing from you next time. Thank you.
By the way, are we going to go on DTube?